Episode of Underrated and Overlooked Podcast. I'm Najee Wilkins with Craig Sager here, man. We're going to be talking about a lot of different sports today, man. Going to get into, obviously, the football, talk about the latest coaching changes. We're going to talk about recruiting news and reacting to some of the biggest news across the sport. And then we'll get into some college football and then obviously react to the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs, Craig's Chiefs, doing what they always do and winning the big game. So how you feeling today, Craig?
It was awesome. I saw it was the most watched Super Bowl or event ever.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Growing up a lifelong Chiefs fan, you know, it feels good because I was rocking that Chiefs jersey back in the day. People knew that we had never won anything, hadn't won a playoff game. Tony Gonzalez never won a playoff game with the Chiefs, came to Atlanta, thought he was going to get a Super Bowl, but man, it's been a good few years.
And I was just about to actually, I'm glad you was able to expand on that because when you're a fan, you'll go through sometimes the misery. I know for me, my misery was 2011, 2015. We would always go to the playoffs, but we can never pull through, right? We would always lose. So talk about just like now, as you just said, seeing that and seeing them winning at a high level and really changing the franchise. You only had one Super Bowl, I think, at that point. Now you guys have three more. So just talk about that.
That's crazy. So in 2011, I think that was probably the lowest point in the Chiefs franchise history. They were, I think, the worst team in the league. That was the first time I ever went to a Chiefs game. They played the Colts. They played Andrew Luck. It was a joke. I mean, no one was there. Basically, they were giving away tickets. A couple weeks before that, the Chiefs had a player that ended up shooting himself in the head at the facility. That was with Romeo Crennel there. And so it was just like a depressing, dark time. And they bring Andy Reid over. He comes over from the Eagles, where they had some heartbreakers too. And just to see the way that the organization has been run these last few years, it's been so great because they've handled the outside noise and they just think they're setting the standard. A lot of teams this year, they talked about the mediocrity. The Chiefs went through adversity this year, but they just kept showing up, and it's just amazing that they're able to get another one.
No doubt. And speaking of, we're going to talk about that obviously more later, but let's talk about just Craig. The biggest news in high school sports. I want to get your reaction. Let's go with just the first one. I think I'm going to try to pull up the tweet, but DJ Bordeaux officially going to Douglas County. What is your instant reaction to that? And to show the audience, let's just pull this up real quick before we get Craig's reaction. But he's leaving Alpharetta officially and is heading to Douglas County. As you see, he has it in his background. He did the news. Let's find the tweet. Here it is right here. So I'm going to share the screen with y'all. All right, let's pull it up right here, right now. Okay, so that's the official tweet posted last week. What's your instant reaction to that?
So I think Douglas County, they remind me of Hughes, which they, funny enough, were in the same region probably 2 seasons ago when they made that first initial playoff run. Prince Aaron Nolan's freshman year, you're like looking at the roster, you're like, oh my gosh, this sophomore class is going to be really good. And then see them the next year get closer, and then they break through. I think that's the position Douglas County is in right now. Thought they had the best sophomore class in the state last year.
No doubt.
They keep adding these pieces. They had a great year last year, lost a heartbreaker to Woodward Academy, who ended up coming up just short. 6A was ridiculous last year. And then also what I like about them last season, they had the big win over Hughes, but that was early in the season. So they really played their biggest regular season game like week 5, week 4, and then continued to improve. They never took the foot off the gas. I think this year they are certainly playing for nothing but a state title, and I think Coach White's done an incredible job also.
Do you think coming into Craig, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him? Because as you just mentioned, them having an expectation of wanting to win it all this year, got so close last year, but having that very, very good younger underclassmen talent. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. And those sophomores stepped up, played amazing in all those big games. But when you look at the character of a certain team, it's like Douglas County, they do everything right offensively. They aren't just a run team. They aren't just a pass team. They're balanced, and they have playmakers all over the place. And then defensively, they've been really solid on that side of the ball for years now. So I think they're a complete team. They also had one of the best kickers in the state last year, good in all 3 phases.
No doubt about it. And then I wanted to talk about Mantrez Walker. He announced his top 5 this past week. He has LSU, Colorado, Miami, Penn State, and then Ole Miss. We're going to pull that up for you guys as well. Just a quick tweet. from him. But an outstanding linebacker for the Buford Wolves, I think that is a big move for him. But here it is officially, guys. Now it's his top 5 this past weekend. As you can see, LSU, Colorado, Miami, Penn State, Ole Miss. What's your instant reaction to that?
And that is a very intriguing top 5 right there, all over the place. Uh, well, obviously, there's a huge spotlight on Buford. When we talked to Coach Appling last year, I think he said during their spring practice they had over 100. I think they even tweeted out like 140 different colleges came. And a lot of that was because they had some big name seniors last year. But if you look at the top 100 rising seniors this next year, the class of 2025, Buford has like 1 in 6 of those players on their team. This is a big opportunity for that hire for Buford. They haven't won state titles the last 2 years. These guys they're all highly recruited. Um, they know what the standard is, and they're in a rare situation because the loss in the quarterfinals to Walton, that was the first time they didn't make it to the semis in over a decade.
No doubt.
They lost a tough one this last year too. They got beat in the regular season. I think it's a big year for sure, and I think they're going to be sending guys all over the place.
No doubt about it. And we're going to actually explore, because we got a good topic for you guys to talk about in a little bit, just pertaining just Buford and some other big-time teams. And then Travis Smith was another one, Craig. I seen just big news across. He announced his top 8: Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Ole Miss, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. I know Georgia is high on his tracks. They really wanting to bring him in. I think that would be another great wide receiver talent for you guys, too.
Yep, and I'm waiting to see what Westlake's going to do this year. They balled out in the 7-on-7s. I think they are a dark horse. Got some big names. They're always good at the skill positions. But it's funny, every single one of these top 6 and top 5s, a lot of them have Colorado in it. So is Colorado going to be able to secure these guys? They're definitely hitting the state of Georgia hard. I think that started with the Travis Hunter move, going from following Dion there. I think there is a presence in Georgia. They got to start locking some of these guys down, and getting a player from Westlake would be a great place to do it.
And I think, too, if just mentioning a little bit about Dion, I know, too, that he's come out and said publicly that he's attacking the Southeast. That's what he loves to kind of go. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee is what he's kind of said in his quotes. So, as you said, they're attacking it. Can they land the guys? It's going to be the biggest question, because only 6 recruits or commits this past year. They got to get more.
Yep, and just getting one guy from a place like Westlake, we've seen how many DBs they put into the league, and the next level, obviously, that's Cam Newton's stomping grounds. Getting a player, a big name from that program to Colorado, it sets the future also. And you got guys like Juan Gaston as well on that offensive line.
No doubt.
I think he has a chance to be this year's probably biggest offensive lineman in the state in terms of size. But Westlake, always a great place to get those skill players.
No doubt about it. And we have another big announcement. One of our partners, a guy we work with, is big in the industry, known everywhere. But officially, Rusty announced his MVP camps is set for March 17th at Milton. Also, we'll have Chad Simmons in the presence. But basically, morning session will be 25, 26 classes. Afternoon session will be 27, 28, and 29. So upcoming sophomores, freshmen, and then 8th graders. So what's your instant reaction? I can talk a little bit about my experience going to one of them, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think these camps, so I'd say probably like I always do this back 10 years ago, but I used to be at the rivals camps, and those were really important for just getting your measurables, getting in the database. But I think now it's like it really is about networking. It's also like a confidence game. Is it real football? No, but if you're a skill guy, you're trying to measure yourself up with the best. Go into those camps, even if you aren't the highest recruited guy, you haven't hit it yet where you have the offers coming in. I think it's important to go to those just to instill that confidence, and
No doubt.
even just showing up, it's like you're viewing yourself as a recruit. You're letting it known like you want to play at the next level. I think it's important to go to those things.
I agree. I think back to your point, I think they're great for exposure. My experience going to the camp, I think Rusty does a great job putting it on. He gets some of the top coaches to come. Obviously, you see Chad Simmons, who's a national, basically, recruiting guy or analyst. And I think they're a lot of fun too. And the great thing about it is It's a segue to get to the Georgia League Classic game as well, which is another way to put yourself out there and be on TV and kind of just use that film to show college coaches and things like that. So when I went, I remember seeing the O lineman and D lineman. That really stood out to me, and some of the skill position guys just putting on the show one-on-ones. And it was hot during the time because it was in May, but it was a lot of fun going. And I think Rusty just does a good job putting it on. And I would say, man, if you're able to go, if you do get the select invite from Rusty, you definitely should go. It's an outstanding camp. One thing will happen is you will get better, and then two, I think you'll get great exposure as well. And then you also got that segue into potentially going to Georgia League Classic. So it's a great event, and I think camps are really important, Craig. Now, I mean, just exposure wise, sometimes it's hard during the regular season, but if you can go to these and ball out, man, you're putting yourself on the map, and as you said, putting those measurables out there and getting in that database.
Yep, it's very important to embrace competition, to enjoy that aspect of football that's more exciting. And you never know. I mean, you could be at this school and you haven't really tried this type of drill before. You come to this, it's a new setting. You might try a drill and be able to apply that heading into spring, heading into the regular season. So it's important to get in these elite events, and you never know. You could end up with a big viral play. You could stack up with a 4-star, 5-star, and impress and get noticed.
That's all it takes, man. So that's my big news that I seen, but I want to throw it to you, Craig. What else have you seen? Just high school recruiting news updates, just around the way that stood out to you.
So I thought this was interesting. It happened this week. You have this is the rising senior class, 2 tight ends out of the state of Georgia that that Auburn has now recruited and locked down. That's Ryan G from Milton, 6'5", and then from McIntosh, that's Hollis Davidson, another 6'5" guy. So you have Auburn taking 2 of probably the highest rated junior tight ends, definitely top 5 in the state, and taking them together. I think that is an interesting strategy, because could that be a big competition once they get there? But taking 2 of the same position, and we've seen Ryan G play. He is a force, and he's going to have a big year.
The cool thing I think we now see too with the college and the pro game, Craig, is you see a lot of 12 personnel, right? 2 tight end sets and guys being used in multiple ways. Some guys will block, some guys will just be used to kind of go over the middle of the field, put that pressure on that cover 2. Also a guy that's kind of an outlet, right? That flat route that you can throw to, that corner route, a guy that the quarterback can throw to and kind of feel comfortable with. So as you pointed out, I think it's good because the thing you're seeing with Auburn is you can come in and contribute early. Go look at Connor Lew. I think it was SEC all freshman this year. So when you have that and you're able to come in early and contribute, I think these guys are going to be able to have that segue in. And, obviously Auburn's still trying to get back to where they were, still kind of rebuilding. But getting 2 of these guys, as you mentioned, Craig, that's marquee. And I think they're going to be able to contribute and have some big roles.
Yeah, I mean, they both could work out, or I think individually they're each good enough to make an impact. And what I like about Ryan G's game also, it's like their ability just to kind of slip out once the play breaks down, just be that big target in the red zone. We saw him get a big touchdown in the Roswell game. I think Ryan G's an unselfish player. He's obviously been highly recruited, but I think he's an interesting piece. And if he does continue and decides to go to Auburn, I think it'd be a good piece for the future for them. I think he's definitely going to play.
No doubt about it. And I think Hollis Davis obviously one of the top recruits. I think McIntosh got some dudes, man, that a little bit underrated, but I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch next year as well. They got him. Obviously, we already rolled the tape for Maddox Dykeman, but I think they're going to be an interesting team. And Auburn, I mean, this is how you start back and you start to be able to get back on the mountaintop, getting guys like this coming into your program. So I think that's how to keep.
Yep, and McIntosh, they'll have a great schedule this upcoming year. They've been in the mix. They've had Harris County in the region. Northside Columbus ended up beating them 2 years ago for their first ever, but their biggest rival, Stars Mill, their head coach, Chad Phillips, just announced his retirement. So they're trying to be that premier Peachtree City, Fayette County team. I think this is the year they could do it.
No doubt about it. Speaking of Chad Phillips, what you got latest around just coaching updates around high school, Craig? I know you mentioned a couple. You was high on one hire that ended up happening. Just talk a little bit about that.
Man, Stars Mill, we've broken down some of their players the last couple of weeks. And what I mentioned was how close they came to making the state finals last year and winning it. Stars Mill in 2022 missed out on the playoffs with a 7-3 record. I thought they were the best team to not make it. Last year, they fell on a Hail Mary by Coulter Jen to Perry in a heartbreaker. They have a ton of talent returning this next year. I think they're definitely a team that's going to go into the season with the goal of a state championship. But I have a feeling they're going to go within the program. Uh, they start their season in premier events. We have the Corky Kell, they have the Fayette County Classic. They've come out and done great in that. They've got longtime rivals at that school, whether it's Fayette County, McIntosh, Whitewater. I think they are battle tested and definitely an appealing school, but Coach Phillips did a phenomenal job there. So that'll be a big opening, a big change. And then I thought the other one, it was a team that was in 4A last year, Wayne County. You look at teams that struggled, that turned things around quickly. That was them. They'd only gone 1-9. Shaw got there. They were in that region with Benedictine, New Hampstead, Burke County. They're earning playoff spots. They're in the top 10. They're making deep playoff runs. He's going to go to South Carolina now, but I'm interested to see who's going to take that Wayne County job.
No doubt about it. I think that's going to be very, very intriguing to see, especially with him kind of stepping down, I think, or him going to Greenville, South Carolina. And Wayne County is a pretty interesting job as well. I know they got a really good talented linebacker out of there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes in and able to contribute early and often.
Yep, and they had Matthew Fuller last year. I think he was top 5 in the state in rushing. But I have the here. So we have 59 positions have open this year. There are 25 still open. So just when I thought it was getting below 20, more have opened up. The big ones remaining, obviously Stars Mill is huge, Rabun County is huge, and you still got the Camden County.
No doubt. And I want to ask you, Craig, we see NFL, right? Kind of same thing. It's not as many jobs, only 32 jobs, but it closes pretty quickly. Like I feel like the all 8 spots have already filled. How quickly does it usually on the high school level, Craig, do you see it kind of close? Is it usually around about March, April? Like I know it'd be so many positions. How usually quickly or on average does it close?
So what we typically see, the latest would be when spring football starts. That's going to be
it's May, right?
Yeah, April, May. And so you'll have situations where they'll make these changes, and then the ideal thing is if the coach is somewhat near to the school he's going to end up going to. And a lot of times they're still teaching at that school, but they're having to drive afterwards for spring practice. And then once the summer comes, they're going to be there. But they're still at this former school. They can't just pick up and leave their teaching job at one school to dip out. So I think we'll see it by spring, and a couple of those guys that will have to kind of, commute.
Yep.
Yeah, with their staffs. But yeah, it's a lot of big openings. I think with the Camden one, and what we're also seeing, you don't necessarily have to do that situation if you are at a private school. Some of those coaches don't have to teach when they're there. So I think you could see someone go from private to one of these big jobs at Camden. And I also think you could see some out-of-state hires with names that have won previously. I think if you're Camden County, you're going after a coach that's won a state title in Florida, Alabama, or another state.
No doubt. And then, Craig, we got some really intriguing segments coming up. And before we start on the programs, I want to ask you, which coach do you think can come in and contribute, or just a coach that can have some immediate success coming into the new program?
Ooh, that's a good one. In this group, let me pull it up actually because I have it. So Chad Phillips retired. I don't think he's going to take another head coaching job. He might go the route that we've seen. Where was it? That was at Hebron Christian, having a longtime head coach come in as a coordinator. Former head coaches love doing that when they don't have to have the full responsibilities of a head coach and come in and just coach football and run the offense. I think that's an ideal situation. So maybe Chad Phillips isn't done. I do think Jeff Herron is going to be retired. But let's see, you have at East Forsyth, that was Brian Allison. I thought he did a tremendous job at East Forsyth. It's a brand new school. He led them to the playoffs last year in a region where they were playing North Oconee for the region title at the end of the season. Obviously, North Oconee's a little more established, but they had big wins over Cherokee Bluff, played Madison County strong, Cedar Shoals. So I think out of the coaches that can come in, I think he is definitely proved to this. Brian Allison, also Paul Carroll at Herald, and then that was Ola's head coach Tom Causey. He just took the job at Miller County. I think he's going to do a great job. He has won championships in the state of Alabama.
No doubt about it. So look out for those coaches next year. Obviously, we'll have the full coverage. It's going to be really, really intriguing to see who is able to come in and have that success. But before we get to our underrated player film breakdown, we had some really good discussions off air, and I want to bring them on to set and kind of talk about them. But Craig, let's talk first and foremost just about which programs have the most pressure on them heading into 2024. I think it's an intriguing question, intriguing debate, and you had some really good programs I thought that you pointed out. But let's get into that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Buford has a lot of pressure. It's crazy to think about. Coach Appling took over after serving as the coordinator, leads them to 3 straight titles. They get bumped up to 7A, lose to Walton, and then last year got ousted. What was it, by Grayson?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, that's tough. However, Buford, you look at the amount of talent they have on that team. It's not so much that they didn't win a state title. I think they underperformed these last couple seasons where there was offensively, they really didn't have the signature blowouts. Like they didn't look like the typical Buford team. So I think they've got to get that that special aura about them back. Like they've got to be Buford again and really start pounding their opponents. So there's always pressure on the Buford head coach. And then Carrollton, I think there's a lot of pressure there as well. I think they are going to be my preseason number one. I think they have all the pieces going perfect in the regular season, making it to the finals when Juju was a freshman. That only raised the expectations. Last year, they lost to a super stacked Walton team. Can't really fault them for that. Walton had a perfect game. They scored a touchdown every time they had the ball. But I think it's Carrollton's season to lose. And when you look at the rest of 6A, you lose Milton, and then a lot of these teams, they're not going to be returning their stars like Carrollton is, especially at the quarterback position. Colquitt loses Nykar. They lose
Nico Fan.
Yeah, Nico Fan as well. Yeah, Nykar's the receiver. Douglas County will obviously challenge them, but then Walton lost a lot of pieces. Grayson lost a lot of pieces. They're going to be relying on young guys. I think Carrollton is going to be the team to beat in Class 6A.
Well, there you go. That is Craig's teams under the most pressure heading into 24. I definitely agree with Carrollton. I think when you have a freshman quarterback come in and have that performance and get you to a state championship, and he's already reclassified to 2025, and this is the last year for him, and then you have all the talent coming back. You get a Zealous Hicks, you get a Peyton Zachary, you get a Kamari Farmer, then a Juju, and all this talent that's on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. I mean, that pressure is going to rise. Obviously, Joey King's a phenomenal coach for the Carrollton program, but the pressure is going to be on. I mean, this is the year I feel like with going down to 6A, some of those top-notch teams. I mean, it's still be great teams there, but you're not going to have to deal with, what Walton was this past year. You're not going to have to deal with what Grayson was this past year. Grayson's still going to be great, but, it's still going to be kind of to see how their young, talented quarterbacks are going to be a step up. Some key players and key positions are going to have to step up. They are very talented, but it is a lot of pressure on varsity and kind of see what they're able to do. So I agree with Carrollton. Another program I wanted to throw out that has a lot of pressure, I think it's underrated, but it's one that it's kind of stuck in my head. I'm trying to think. I'm missing the team. Roswell.
Yep.
I think Roswell's another program. They're going to be in such a tough region, right? You got Milton, you got Gainesville, phenomenal coach Chris Pruitt, great offensive coordinator as well. But I think it's a team that you look at, like, can they get to that level? Will they be able to make a deep run? It's going to be tough. Like 5A, I think you could say probably a 3-4 team race right now as it goes into the spring. We'll see what happens. But as you're going to have to contend with Milton and Gainesville, they're both going to be tough. But can Roswell get to the big game? Can they get to a semifinal? Can they get to a championship, right? A lot of young talent coming back. So I think a lot of pressure is on that Roswell program, and they're going to want to, see if they go deep. So I think that's our teams with the most pressure.
Yes, I got one more, but you're right about Roswell. And, yeah, they're in that region with Gainesville and Milton. If 5A is a 3-man race. They might all be in that same region, but
No doubt.
I think the Milton Roswell game is going to be incredible. Milton won it pretty well this last year, but it's been a back and forth tight rivalry every single year. It doesn't matter if one team's ranked number one and the other one's not. They're going to show up. It's going to be a good game. But who's going to be the Dylan Williams? Who's going to be the KJ Smith? They're losing a lot of that firepower. I think they're going to be rock solid offensive line, the secondary, but losing
Defensive line too.
Yeah,
No Chase Morrison.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then they're going to want to have that run game going as well. But I think the other one, there's a lot of pressure on Houston County. I really think there is. And last year, they had some big wins. They went toe-to-toe with Lee County to no fault of their own. Isaiah Chroma just went nuts that game. But they had some bad losses last year. The one to Thomas County Central, who shut out a lot of opponents, but 27-0. The offense looked one-dimensional, couldn't run the ball, and took a lot of sacks. The Woodward game in the state championship put up just 7 points. They shut down the run game, and then, Houston County is a great quarterback, great receivers that can make plays after the catch, but it was the same thing we saw in the Lee County game. If you're going up against an elite secondary and there's no run game, they're going to be able to stick on the receivers, and throws are going to have to be perfect, and the offensive line is going to have to hold up for a long time to allow them. And so what teams did when they knew that they didn't have to fear the run, especially if it's a third and long, they're just going to drop back all those guys and bring a creative pass rush and shut you down. So I think Houston County, I think their leading rusher was a senior last year, but they did have a couple underclassmen getting that 500 yard season zone. They did average about 120 rushing yards per game, but they've got to be more balanced. They have an All-American quarterback, 6'5", multi-year starter. They're in probably the toughest region in the state. I'm not just saying that, but they've got to come out. They're going to be playing in Mercedes-Benz. I think it's a big opportunity for them, but there is also pressure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you had pointed out a player you thought too that had a lot of pressure was Antoine Hill. And obviously that comes with just being a great player. But this is the year, like, they got to make a deep run, I think. And I 100% agree with Craig. Like, this is the year to do it. But their schedule's no cakewalk, right? They're playing 3 defending state champions, right? They got Perry, they got Thomas County Central, and Coffee this year. So it's not going to be a joke. Play Alpharetta under the lights in Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. So it's not going to be easy, but I think this is the year, like Craig said, they got to make a deep run. They're a talented team, have a great head coach. But now it's time to, kind of, be able to, have a full package, because you're not going to have Antoine Hill next year, or the following year. Like, you're going to have to capitalize on this talent you have and great quarterback play, and it's time to make a run. But they're going to be tested, and I think they'll be better for it towards the end of the stretch of the season, especially with their schedule.
No doubt. I mean, I think every game in that region is going to be incredible. But it's just so crazy how ineffective Houston County's run game is, because when you have that much talent at receiver and a quarterback that's completing over 70%, that obviously is putting a lot of pressure on the defense. So they just need to find some solid contributors in the run game, and I think they can be balanced and just be wise on the down and distance. Put yourself in these favorable second and shorts, and then you can take those explosive plays and opportunities. Antoine does not turn the ball over. I think the ratio is insane the last few years. It's like 80 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So, I mean, he's doing his thing passing the ball, but he needs help back there, because if they get in these third and longs, it's just too predictable. They don't have an elite receiver that's going to be able to jump up and win the 50-50 balls the majority of the time. The secondaries in that region are too good. Lee County, Thomas County Central, Coffee. Look how Coffee won last year at the state championship. They went man-to-man the entire season. So you're going to have to find a run game to keep them honest.
No doubt about it. Well, guys, that's our team, or that's our segment for that. Teams with the most pressure. I thought it was a good one. Wanted to add it to the show today. Great job by Craig bringing that up, and I think it's a really, really great discussion. So we're going to see Y'all comment below what you thought about that segment. But the final one is we're gonna do a teletape on South Paulding's quarterback, Cade Whittington. Shout out to South Paulding. Hit me up via DM on Twitter and wanted us to look at his tape. So let's go ahead without further ado. Check him out. Sophomore, he will be a rising junior next season. But let's go ahead and roll the tape. All right, here we go. All right, so 6'1". Looking at some of the plays right here. Great ball over the middle. Hit the receiver in stride. Great corner route between two defenders right there. That was nice. I think that's against Gainesville. We're going to roll that one back. Yeah, that is Gainesville. So right here, I love the escapability. So as you can see, they played some tough teams this year. But this is one of our 2-horse race we talked about with Gainesville. But
and the receiver coming back to the football.
We always talk about that.
Pays off.
So motion right here with the running back, as you can see. So boom, he's getting pressured. The right tackle's beat. Look at him step up, absorb it. Could have went down right there. Keeps it loose. Got more guys on him. That's one. These two are coming up, but still keeping his eyes down the field, finding the target. Great job by him. Like you said, Craig, coming back to the football, making that one defender miss, and then off to the races there for the touchdown. That's a great play. What's your thoughts?
Oh, it's huge.
No doubt. And this is against Langston Hughes. Love the ball. Accurate, tight coverage. Doesn't matter. Same thing right there. Hitting the receiver in stride. Love that play right there. Let him do his thing. Boom. Another accurate ball. That is tough. Love that right here. Here we go. A little bit of motion. Goal line right here. Love it again. Look at him avoiding the pressure. That's excellent. Wow. So what stands out to me right now is just the escapability. So let's look at it one more time. So against Gainesville, same game, pulled the play earlier. Good motion right here. Boom. Again, beat right here is the right guard. Look at him absorb it, make him miss, keep his eyes downfield. And like I said, he does a good job because this guy's right here. So if he telegraphs this is a pick, guys. So a good job baiting him, make him come up, and then boom, right there. That's excellent right there. Because if you do it too soon, no panic. Yeah. That's a pick. So great job right there. There he is again, moving to the right, and then he's just going to take off, showing the legs. And he's moving, Craig. Yeah, love that. Nearly scored a touchdown. I mean, you see the ability to escape and run. Same thing right here. Man, he throws a pretty deep ball.
Yep.
Love the deep ball. Same thing here, moving to his left. Good job just keeping the play alive, throwing off the run. Woo. Another accurate ball. Sheesh. Boom. It's a great throw right here in between two defenders. Great job right there. Here's against Noonan. Another deep ball. Another ace throw. Love that, man. Okay, here's Whittington. Boom. Keeping the play alive. Here's the pressure. Couple guys coming up. Another throw off the run.
Yep. None of these are underthrown.
No. Another great ball right there. And go get a little real route. Hits him in stride. Let your receiver do his thing. And a tutty. Yeah, I love the deep ball.
Perfect.
Oh, my goodness. Textbook at the deep ball. Boom. Nothing's there. Doesn't panic. Another throw off the run. Woo. Aces, man. Boom. Here, that's just a simple inside dig route. Great job hitting him in stride. Let him do his thing. Boom. Here he is. Moving to the left. Look how he skates up in the pocket. Oh, my goodness. Look at a couple more before we conclude. Love it. Boom. Here's the pressure. Look at him escape again. Move to his left. Big block right there. Still not going down. What? Let's roll that one back.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we're going to look at two more after this one. So, boom. Here's the initial pressure, guys. So, no one blocks him. Look at the spin move. Makes him miss. Here comes the other defender. Outpaces him. Receiver's going to come up, throw a block right here. But look at him not go down. He could have went out of bounds right there. Keep his balance, make two miss, pick up more yardage, and gets knocked out. I love that. All right, we'll look at two more guys. Boom, here he is to the right. Oof, another accurate ball. Let's look at that one more time. All right, so boom. You see the corner's playing off. It's likely a cover 3. Because you see how deep the safety's getting to get over top. Yep, that is covered. But look as you see the quarterback's eyes. Gets over, but it's too late. Look at this accurate ball. Textbook right there. All right, we'll look at one more. and then we'll do the conclusion of what we think. All right, boom. Play action. Great throw again, Craig. I mean, in stride. But y'all go check out his tape. We're gonna link everything below. But that was outstanding. I'll go first and let you go, Craig. Love his escapability. I think his ability to throw off the run is just spectacular. Some of the plays you see his linemen are getting beat, but he doesn't, you know, doesn't get nervous, keeps the play alive. I love his deep ball. I think he's a very accurate quarterback. And the reason we broke down his tape is, guys, you're going to see him in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter class. South Paulding is in it this year. So I think he's outstanding. I mean, 2026, I think he got a lot of room for growth. Hopefully he gets a little bit more exposure, but I thought that tape was excellent. His throw off the runs, his deep ball accuracy, and his ability to extend plays and escapability, I think, are off the charts.
Yep, that's some of the best I've seen at the quarterback film. That was very impressive. Not underthrowing any of those balls, and you can tell he has a great ability to read the combo routes, and then even if it's a tight window, he knows exactly where to put it. I think the next phase, which we like to talk about also, is when he's able to deceive defenses with his eyes. That's going to be next level. That's what Prince Avenue does so well. I think that's the next.
I love that, Craig. I love that how you brought up the next phase of his game and to continue to kind of improve and take that next level. I think that's a great part because you'll see if you do telegraph throws, that will lead to interceptions. But if you can kind of move the defense with your eyes, like, oh, I'm going to throw here, but I'm going to really throw here, I think that's the next level. But
that's what makes him so dangerous. If you watch the state championship, what Philo did, they'll know they're going to the backside and like it's a fake handoff, look this way, and then boom. And I mean, he can clearly make those throws. I think we'll see that this year.
No doubt, man. So thanks, Coach Allen, for sending that over, man. Definitely got a stud out there at South Paulding. Underrated kid, but he's doing this thing, man. That tape was very, very impressive. So thank you for sending that. And shout out to you, Kate Winnington. Outstanding job of what you're able to do on the football field, man. But we're going to leave it there. Move to our next segment. Just a little bit about college football, man. So Ryan Grubbs officially leaves Alabama. He's headed to the Seattle Seahawks. And I think we got the update today. Max was telling me they just hired a tight ends coach or promoted him to be the OC. So what's your instant reaction to that?
I think it's going to work out well. He's from the state of Washington. He's going back to Seattle. It's not like a guaranteed science, but I feel like that does make a difference. He's kind of back home in a sense, but I think we're seeing a lot of crossing over from NFL to college and vice versa this year, more so than we have in the past. And I think that's a sign of the times with how big college has become with the NIL, these high-paying coaching gigs, and I think you can make that transition more smoothly now, and it's pretty crazy. That's going to be just a common theme now. It's like when these NFL jobs open up, they're going to take the top coordinators, and then coordinators at the NFL, they're going to take college jobs more than we've seen in the past.
No doubt about it. And I think, you bring up a great point, Craig, but my thing is, how innovative can he be? I think is my biggest question with the new move, because you're going to need a guy that comes in that can get the most out of the talent that you have. I know they have a guy from Washington coming in at quarterback. You still got Jalen Milroe, but this is a very talented group, and they did a really good job with recruiting. I think keeping Justice Haynes, who will have a more kind of prominent role next year. You got Ryan Williams to be able to keep him. And then you got Caleb Odom coming in. But as I was telling Max, I think the biggest question is, what are they going to do with that talent they have? Like with the Fox, like how quickly will they play? I think is the biggest question. And what's kind of the plan? Because it's a new regime, right? And you're going to need this tight end, or you're going to need your new offensive coordinator to be able to use all these weapons, all this talent you have at a high level. So I think it's going to be intriguing to see what he can kind of dial up offensively.
Definitely. I think Alabama is going to have a new look offense, but the reason I think he's going to the Seahawks is they struggled running the ball last year.
Right.
92 yards per game. It's the lowest total they've had in, I think, over a decade. And then they had the second fewest rushing attempts in the NFL. I think their leading back had 8 touchdowns. The rest of the team had 3.
Right.
So they just need to improve the run game. He's going to deliver that. And then with Alabama, I think it's just a whole new regime.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the offense is going to look like.
Yeah. Don't know what to expect, really.
No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you kind of don't. I mean, we're going to obviously find out there'll be spring football. So that'll be a good test to kind of start to see where good eye test early in camp. So we're gonna see, man. But the talent's there, so it's gonna be a really interesting year for Alabama to see what they're able to do on the gridiron. But another crossover move. Let's talk about it, Craig. Colorado hired former Bengals DB coach as their defensive coordinator. My quick reaction: I think it's a good move. I think he's a really, really great coordinator or a really great DB coach. I think he's going to be able to kind of come in with those guys, coach them up, and then having that too with some of their outstanding DBs, like we talked about on the show, Craig, Cormani McClain, Travis Hunter, maximizing their potential. I think it's going to be crucial for them. And he's going to already know because he's coached up some good DBs. Jesse Bates, who made an all-pro with the Bengals. He's now with the Falcons. He made another all-pro. Being able to have those really good corners and stepping up big, the King Taylor Brits of the world, DJ Turner this past year, I think is going to help them not only right now, but also in the future. Because then, Craig, we talked about them not having the recruits, only having 6 from this year. Having a established guy that's known in the NFL and knows what it takes to kind of get guys to play at a high level as your defensive coordinator is going to be big for recruits coming in that want to go to the next level and want to kind of come in and contribute. So I think it's going to be big for them long term.
I think it's great. And that's interesting. You bring up like Travis Hunter. These are guys that obviously NFL potential almost like guaranteed. These are superstars, and you're getting coaching from the top.
Yeah.
This is a guy that knows what it takes. Travis is already probably the most competitive, motivated player I've ever seen, wanting to be the best in the country. And so you have a guy that's going to be able to watch them in practice, help them out from a professional level while understanding, these kids are still in college. They got to get to this next level. I think it's going to benefit them greatly. He's got tons of experience. He was at the same place for a long time, so he's seen the roster changes with the Bengals. He's seen the trade, so he's able to still have a consistent defense with and kind of building it with the guys he has. So I think their secondary is going to be the strength of their defense. They just have to allow way less points. They were one of the worst in the country last year. I think 36 points per game.
Yeah.
But having a strong secondary, that's going to help a lot. They just got to build from that. I mean, if you can create those turnovers and have 2 of the best DBs in the country, in my opinion, I think that's going to be a huge step forward.
No doubt about it. So we're going to see that was a unit that was, they had moments, I thought, Craig, flashes of what they could do, but now it's putting it all together this year, having a really, really good unit. I think, Craig, if they can have a top 20, top 25 unit, potentially Colorado could make some noise. I mean, sometimes it would be like the offense would struggle a little bit. We know offensive line is going to be a key position group for them, but sometimes their defense can stop the bleeding. You got your defense can play at a top 25 level in college. I mean, you got to like your chances. Even when your offense is struggling, your defense is going to be able to make stops. So it's going to be interesting how quickly he can get this unit to perform at a top level.
Yep, and we saw, like, when Travis went down, like, what a difference that made just having him back. So, I mean, that secondary was a huge part of their success early in the season.
Yes.
Having them strong throughout the year, building that depth, I think it's a huge move. And I just like him coming from the NFL, coaching guys that are going to be there in just a few years.
No doubt about it. Well, we had another big move, Craig. I want to get your reaction to this. I'll let you start on this one. Chip Kelly stepped down as UCLA head coach. They've hired a new guy as well. And he's going to head to Ohio State to take their offensive coordinator job. Instant reaction to that.
I think Ohio State is the team. They are making all the moves right now. You see Michigan having a lot of turnover, Alabama having the turnover.
Yeah.
And all Ohio State has done is just pretty much upgrade, I think, in every facet.
And reload, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're the team to beat. I think it's a great hire. And, I mean, it's really exciting. And he's had the experience as a head coach, but I think having a high-energy, creative guy like him who's had to deal with all the duties of a head coach, just coming in and game planning and making the most of the talent he has, I think it's going to be something that Ohio State's been missing. I think they're going to be very dangerous, and it's going to be probably the most exciting team to watch.
Yeah, I think so. And as we've been talking about on the podcast, this is the year that they got to make a deep run, right? I think if we had to go college and say the most team that has the most pressure, I think it's Ohio State, right? With Michigan winning the title, and obviously Jim Harbaugh is not there, but as you just mentioned, Alabama having turnover, Michigan having turnover, right? Georgia's going to be Georgia. Georgia's probably the biggest threat to them if you had to look at the national just landscape with what they're going to have and what they're bringing back and the top talent they have coming in. But outside of Georgia, who else do you really see as of right now that's a big threat? It's next is Ohio State. So is, this is the year they got to. And what I love about the move, Craig, their offense is going to have innovativeness. You go back and look at Chip Kelly. I know he's had his struggles throughout, but go back and look at the Oregon team, what he's able to do with that group and getting the most out of them with Marcus Mariota, making a deep run, making it to the college football playoff, and we're having a really, really good unit. I think with Kashawn Junkins coming in, Travion Henderson's, the top recruits that they have coming in, Jeremiah Smith's, like this is going to be a very, very talented group. Emeka Buka coming back. We'll see what quarterback looks like for them, but I think, getting this innovative of a hire, I think you got to expect a explosive unit offensively next year.
Yeah, and the creativity is it's so huge. It's important. It's not fancy plays.
No.
It's like that's the difference. Yeah, does he have some tricks up his sleeve? Of course, but it's what we saw with all the elite teams this year. It's the innovative motions. It's taking advantage of guys that can typically run the ball, putting them out wide, using the tight end in versatile ways, being creative in the red zone.
Matchups.
They're going to have all that.
No doubt they are. And it's going to be intriguing, man. I think college football is going to have another exciting year. But before we transition, Crazy, any other big news that you saw just in the college landscape or anything that you wanted to hit on?
No, but I mean, it's just stressed the last time. I just think these next 2 years in college football, this is the big change from the conferences to the new playoff format to all these big coaching changes, seeing legends go. I think it's a very, very important couple of years ahead of us.
No doubt, and we'll have the full coverage of that. So if you like your college football and get your fix, definitely come to Underrated and Overlooked, man. Fun podcast. I'll talk about all of that. So that's all for the moves for college. We'll have more news on that next Tuesday. But let's move to the NFL, man. We got to react to the Super Bowl. Craig, I'm coming to you. I'm starting with you. What are your biggest takeaways from the big game?
I think the Chiefs won it in the most Kansas City way possible. Understanding the game plan better, understanding the clock, and doing exactly what they needed to do, have the ball last. It just was deja vu.
You like you've seen this movie before.
Yep. I was never panicked in the second half. And they just felt in control. And the reason they felt in control, in my opinion, is San Francisco offensively, I knew they weren't being aggressive enough. And if you put the Chiefs in striking distance, they're going to have the ball last and you're going to lose the game. And I thought the kicks by Harrison Butker were just so damn clutch. He's been incredible. I'm glad I never turned on him when he had some struggles. I think it was last season, the year before that. But to see how clutch they were in that situation, it was pretty impeccable. And they had the better focus, I feel like. They understood the game situation. And that last drive was a thing of beauty.
No doubt. I think for me, my biggest takeaways is I think San Fran's defense was on fire first half. When you hold the Chiefs to only 3 points, you got to capitalize. And we talked about it off air, Craig. You that game easily should have been 17-3-23. Like, you got to put your foot down on Mahomes. You got to put your foot on his neck. Like, you can't keep him in the game. If you do, you're going to see what's going to happen. I mean, that's not a guy you want to give multiple chances to. And I thought the defense of the Chiefs did a good job keeping y'all in the game. And as you said with Harrison Butker, he did a good job nailing those kicks when, you guys were still trying to get it going and keep you guys in the game. I mean, for that to be a 7-point deficit at halftime, that was a big win for the Chiefs, I thought, when the defense was outstanding for San Francisco. It's unfortunate the injury to Dre Greenlaw. I know next time he won't be as excited and jumping on the sideline. I think if he would have just kind of held those emotions in check, I don't think that would have happened. It is unfortunate, but I thought I thought Nick Bosa if they would have won, he probably would have been in the Super Bowl MVP conversation. What he was able to do early on in that game and limiting Mahomes as best as he could. But when you have that, you got to take advantage of it, in my opinion. And then the last point I wanted to point out, just as far as takeaways, Jawan Jennings, what a great game from him. Being able to throw the passing touchdown to McCaffrey and being able to catch one as well. I thought those two were the best players on the field for the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't get the contributions from George Kittle. 2 catches, 4 yards, not going to cut it. And they didn't get it really from Debo. I know he was dealing with a hamstring injury, but they did not come up to snuff in that game. But I thought McCaffrey and Jennings had outstanding just games in the Super Bowl. And I thought if they would have won, it'd probably been McCaffrey or Jennings for Super Bowl MVP in addition to Bosa.
Yeah, Bosa was incredible. Defense looked outstanding. They throttled Pacheco during the game.
That's not hard. That's not easy to do.
No, not at all. They made it really difficult for the Chiefs to run the ball and get their offense going. They did dominate that first half. What's your thoughts though on Shanahan? Because obviously, back in the Super Bowl with the Falcons,
Yeah.
people felt like he could have closed out by running the ball.
Right.
This wasn't necessarily a game that they let slip, but as you said, they didn't understand. It's like you cannot let the Chiefs have a chance. You have to put them out. You have to put them behind by at least 2 touchdowns. And then what do you think about the overtime? Like now they're just admitting they didn't understand the rules. I already said I didn't understand it.
Yeah, we talked
But
about
how
that.
is that even possible?
Well, I'll go to the Shanahan point. I think you bring up a great question. Okay, so you've been in this situation before, right? You've had a 10-point lead against the Chiefs before in the previous Super Bowl in 2019. Okay, in the game, like they had to get like let's go back to the 3rd and 4, right? Obviously, they could bring a blitz with McDuffie, and they hurry up Purdy on that play, and he just throws it and it's incomplete. Okay, you got an offensive player of the year in Christian McCaffrey. Use him in that game. They went 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. Run the ball, right? Limit the Chiefs' possessions, right? You got an all-world running back. If he's tired, go put Elijah Mitchell in the game. You were getting about 3 to 4 yards a carry. That doesn't seem like a lot, but that sets you up with a 2nd and manageable, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, right? When you were struggling in that game, they were throwing the ball. They had 6 consecutive passes that went nowhere in that game. So I feel like some of the onus goes onto him. And tell me this, Craig, did Brock Purdy throw a ball over 12 to 15 yards in that game?
No.
Did they even try to throw downfield deep? No, they didn't. So some of that onus goes on to him, and he's been in this situation before. His creativity was great, like putting Ayuk on the safety, but you go away from that. You got to go to your best players in them clutch moments, and I feel like he kind of failed in that regard. So I put a little bit of that onus, obviously, on him. And then to your second question, you were asking about not knowing the rules. Okay, like I know there was a rule change, but go look at what the Chiefs players said. Oh, we had a meeting two or 3 times a week, and we were talking about the overtime rules. How do you not have your team prepared for that going into that moment? Now, obviously, we are analyst fans. We may not know, but your team is supposed to know. Like, how do you not discuss that before? And just in case it happens, right? You got to be prepared, right? That is the biggest thing. If you're prepared, then you win in those moments. The Chiefs won in those moments because they were prepared. They knew. They had no idea. They probably thought the clock was going to run out within 3 seconds. No, you get a whole nother quarter because the possession never finished. You have to know that going in. You can't be like, oh, we didn't know. Well, you not knowing cost you a Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
And those moments, like I put that on the coaching. You have to let your players know, okay, hey, these are the rules. This is how it's going now. And if you don't know, ask.
Yeah. So 2 things. One, it's funny because the entire reason that rule change ever happened was because the year,
Chiefs.
yeah. Well, actually, it was the year before that when I think Mahomes won the MVP. They lost to Tom Brady, and then he never got a chance to have the ball.
That was the start. You're
and
right.
Then the next year, they implement the rule change. So that's probably why the Chiefs knew, because they were the team in the example. But it's like, it's funny because if you didn't know the rules, it would have taken like a couple minutes to explain. Like,
That's it.
yeah, but even it's like, okay, you're in overtime now. Like, it's not the easiest rule to explain, like foolproof. Like, hey, here's all these different things that could happen. Like, they had no idea.
No.
They're used to the regular season overtime rules, 10 minutes. I mean, this is a completely different entire set of strategies you have to do. And for them to think that they could have kicked a field goal, traded field goals with the Chiefs, and it's like, I don't understand what the thought process was. Not only not knowing what the overtime was, but why you would even want to settle for a field goal in that situation.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, it was that, and going back to your point, Craig, it was a 4th and 3. You win and converted with George Kittle, right? And you got the first down. Why when you go back to that? If I'm going to lose, at least I'm going to lose being aggressive. Like, okay, we just didn't get it. They went down, kicked the field goal, they won. Now, he might have been called out for it, but at the same time, it's like, go get the touchdown. Like, you want to put the pressure on the Chiefs. Like, hey, you got to score, and then you got to decide, are we going to take a 2-point conversion or are we going to go into double overtime? Put the pressure back on Mahomes. Not saying he would have wilted under there. He would have obviously performed, but put it back on him. Go for it on that 4 for 4. Come up with a good play, and you know what I'm saying? Try to win a game.
Yep, and in hindsight, knowing that you get the opportunities with this longer overtime period, going for it would have made sense. Let's say you don't get it. Okay, the Chiefs can go down. You're going to get another possession. Or if you do get it, or if you hold them to a field goal, which they'd be more likely to settle for if it's still a tie game, and then if you come down, convert, you can win the game.
No doubt.
You can win it
100%
right
agree.
there. So I was so happy when they went for that field goal. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. I mean, and
And when they weren't running the ball at the end, when a team is successfully running the ball late in the game and just eating the clock, that will make you nauseous watching it as the other team without the football. But they're throwing incomplete passes and giving us the ball after 4th and 3s, 4th and 2s. It's like, thanks. We'll take that any day.
exactly. And then Craig, last point on that. Think about towards the end of the game, they had the last possession. They could have ended the game instead of giving it back to Mahomes. Teams in that situation that are going to win the Super Bowl, you take advantage. They were, I think, on a 40 or 37-yard line. You get 2 more first downs. It's a ball game. You kick the game-winning field goal, it's over. Got to be more cognizant in those moments. And they were running the ball. They were killing the clock. But if you did that earlier, it wouldn't have been that situation. But that last possession, you got to be like, okay, this is the Super Bowl. This is the game. Let's go win the game. Let's not give Mahomes a chance. That has to be your mentality. If that's not your mentality, you're not going to win.
Exactly. No, it is a mentality. It's not just calling the play. And then it's like, when is it not smart to go for it on 4th down? Well, when you're in your own territory and you have a lead.
Right.
That's not what the situation was. You have a chance to end the game with a touchdown.
Yep.
You should be prepared to get up to the line as fast as possible and pick up 2 yards.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
End of story. And we see in the high school playoffs, all these teams are going for it on 4th down to win. So what you have to do.
No doubt about it. 100% agree with you, Craig.
The analytics have completely changed with that discussion. You aren't going to be like, let's say they went for it on 4th down, didn't get it for whatever reason. Fans wouldn't have been mad. It's a smart thing to do.
Exactly. So we'll see if they learn anything from it. It's going to be really
what's stopping you from doing it? I really don't know.
Me neither. But that poses our next question. A couple more before we wrap. Just talk about this one, Craig. I got to get your response. Is Brock Purdy elite?
No. I think that he's on a team with a great roster. I think he changed the game last year by stepping in as what was considered a 3rd-string guy as a rookie, having one of the best records in the NFL. I think he's a quality starting quarterback, but at this point, no. And the reason is, when have we seen him in the game on a clutch game-winning drive or just one to put out the game? It's a team that has the luxury of being ahead of a lot of opponents. They have all these pieces, a great defense. Elite quarterbacks are the ones that can close out a game.
I think you took the words out of my mouth right there, Craig. I 100% agree with every point you made. I think he's a good quality starting quarterback, as you mentioned. I know some guys think different. I know Dan Orlovsky says he's the top 7 quarterback in the league. I'm not going to go that far. But I think, is he a guy you could probably win a Super Bowl with? Yes. But I don't think he's elite. As you just said, that's the key point right there. Can he come back from a huge deficit and put you in position to win a game? Or, like you said, can he, on the final drive of the game, get you the win? He has not proven that, Craig, and you brought up a great point. So I think he's good. I just don't think he's elite. There's only about 4 to 5 quarterbacks that are elite in the league. And one, it just happens to be on his own stratosphere, and that's obviously Patrick Mahomes. But I wouldn't put him in that category either. I don't think he's elite. It's no disrespect. I think he's good. I think he manages the game well. I think he's not going to be that quarterback that puts you in a position to lose, but can he put you in that position to win? Hasn't proven that yet. We have to see more.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just him. They had some bad turnovers in the game. The special teams, the missed PAT absolutely killed them, and I knew it would. But yeah, he didn't win them the game. No. And if they believed in his arm, they would have said, hey, we're going to be aggressive on this drive. This is your opportunity. I thought that's what they were going to do, and it would have been his moment,
no doubt,
taking down Mahomes. But the Chiefs are going to stay on top, I guess, for the near future.
Yes.
And I always said these other teams don't scare me, and that's why.
And speaking of the other teams, let's go ahead and go to the kind of final segment of the show. We go to top 3, right? Let's do a top 3, Craig, and I'm going to let you start. Who are the top 3 teams most likely to dethrone the Chiefs as they go on the chase for history to try to become the first team ever in NFL history to three-peat? Has never been done before. Who is the biggest threat to the three-peat in this dynasty that they've built? 3 Super Bowl championships in 5 years. Who's your top 3, Craig?
Well, obviously this year was different because Chiefs didn't have the home field. So who were the teams that are familiar with the beast they're going up against? I think the Chargers, obviously the teams in that division, but out of all of them, I think the Chargers have the biggest opportunity to kind of out Chiefs the Chief. Like have that game plan and beat them. They're familiar with them. That should be their offseason goal. They should draft to beat the Chiefs. They should focus on that because that's the team they're going to have to take down. Other than that, the 49ers, obviously, they're still going to be completely stacked. They can add some more pieces. I think they're in a good situation, especially because Brock hasn't killed them. Anytime you aren't devoting all your salary space to one position, you have a huge advantage. So I think that's another team. Other than that, said maybe I think the Bills are still there, but they still have demons. They're haunted. They need an exorcism.
Right.
And then, yeah, I think Philly's not going to be as talented. Their secondary proved that it was god awful this last year. You mentioned on previous shows the Cowboys. Same sort of thing with the Bills. They just fold in the big game.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I just don't think there's like a complete team and then a quarterback that's going to be able to outdo them.
There you go. That is Craig's reaction and his top 3 teams to the throne. I do agree. I do have kind of a couple different teams in there, but I agree with him. I'll go with one. I think the Chargers. We got to see Justin Herbert do it. Last time in the playoffs, had a 27-0 lead, blew it, right? So we got to see. Can he kind of has to answer that same question with Brock Purdy, right? The elite conversation. Can he win the big game? Can he put a team away? They should have easily put Jacksonville away and was able to win that game. So I put him in there. He does have a better coach, so it's no more excuses now. You got Jim Harbaugh, got into that stage before. He's been in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, lost with Colin Kaepernick, but he's been there. He just won a national championship. Yep. So they should have a better team. They've always been super duper talented with Joey Bosa, Derwin James of the world, having Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Can they stay healthy? I think it's another question. What other talent they're going to bring in? They got to really hit on their draft picks this year and on free agents and talent. Going to lose some pieces, but I think being in that position, being in that division, they know them well. Can they finally get over the hump? I think another team I got to go with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers coming back is going to be tough off the Achilles, but if you go look at their team, defensively, they are so good. They're just in dire needs of a quarterback. And he doesn't even have to be like elite. He just has to be good to great. And I think Rodgers can do that still, with coming off the injury, it's going to be tough. If they can figure out their offensive line to be there to protect, they have the weapons in order to be dangerous. They just need a quarterback to guide them. That defense is next level with the Sauce Gardners of the world, the C.J. Mosleys. They got Quentin Williams. They got guys on every level of the defense that is elite. They got to just be able to put it together offensively. So the Jets is my next one. And my final one, I got to throw this out here. Y'all going to call me biased, but I got to go Bengals, man. When you look at their team, and everybody's going to say, oh, well, what's going to happen with T. Higgins? We will find out, right? I think he's going to get tagged. I talked about it with Graham and some of the guys in the office. I think he will get tagged. We'll see what happens long-term with him. But you look at a team, and the only team that has done it in the postseason is Cincinnati, right? They did not have the best year last year, right? They went 9-8. They still had a winning record. They lost Joe Burrow after week 10. But go look at the teams that give the Chiefs the most problem. And go look at the quotes. I guarantee you guys, go look at what Patrick Mahomes had to say, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, what they had to say about this team. Remember, they were 3-0 in the regular season. If you don't want to count that, fine. Still beat them, only quarterback to go on the road, beat them in Arrowhead. And I will say this. Remember now, that game was 21-3 in Arrowhead. You tell me what other quarterback that's unflappable like that comes back and wins that game. I'm just saying. So for me, call me biased. I think it's Cincinnati. They just got to get a couple pieces right. They need to build the offensive line a little bit more. They got some good pieces, get a good right tackle, a couple depth pieces there as well. Got to get the secondary figured out. What's some mistakes in there? They are uber talented. What are they going to do with Dax Hill? DJ Turner, can you take a step forward? Jordan Battle was the highest graded rookie on defense per Football Focus. Can he take a next step forward? That's going to be the key. And then they need some interior defensive line help as well to be able to stuff the run. They were not good in that unit last year. But go back and look at the defensive coordinator. His name is slipping my mind for the Bengals. Oh, Lou Anarumo. He comes up with the best game plans that makes it tough for Mahomes. And you got a quarterback. Go look at some of the games when they beat him in the regular season when they went to the AFC Championship game. Like, go back and look, y'all. I was 3rd and 11. Burrow takes a sack, right? This is what we're talking about with the 49ers really quick. 3rd and 11, a pressure throw. Guys are coming at him. He throws a laser to against over the middle of the field. They win the game.
Yep.
There's no other quarterback to me that has shown that they're able to do that. Till we see it, I got to throw the Bengals in there. All they have to do is make sure they're healthy. And my last note on that, go look what they did to the 49ers when they were fully healthy on the road, and look how they dismantled them. It's the only quarterback in my eyes that I think can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Accolade-wise, no. Mahomes kills him. But head-to-head, ain't scared, can beat him. That's Joe Burrow.
That's true. And defensively, you guys have held your own. But I think offensively, you guys have had the Chiefs' number.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, those wins have been impressive.
Yeah.
We'll see. As for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, I think Aaron Rodgers, think he's over the hill.
Okay.
I'm not scared of him anymore. He's going to be on some ayahuasca retreat. I'm just like, he might have flashes of it, but
Right.
I don't think he's getting it done. I don't think he's the guy anymore.
Interesting. So you heard it right here. Craig says he does not think Rodgers is the guy. He thinks he's seen his better days. He is not in that conversation. So I think that's an interesting quote, Craig.
Yeah, there's ayahuasca retreats. Can't be good for your brain.
Craig is clowning.
I mean, seriously. Some Brazilian shaman and some like DMT, that's not going to help you beat the Chiefs. Sorry.
Well, there you have it. I think final thing, throw it to you, Craig, before we wrap up today. Any other topics you've seen or that you want to just hit on before we wrap?
Well, there's some in the NFL.
Yeah, or just in general.
I do think the draft's going to be very intriguing. I'm interested to see it. Tons of opportunities. That will be exciting in the coming weeks. Other than that, I think the region basketball tournaments are going to be exciting, and definitely follow us for the playoffs.
Yeah, so definitely
we'll switch
do that.
to basketball probably in a couple weeks.
No doubt. So stay tuned. Craig's going to try to get on the new head coach for Harrison tomorrow for his show. I will see you guys back at 4 for the girls' show today. That's all we got. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and that is all we got. See you guys later, and have a good week, and